Good morning. It's Saturday morning, July 19th, 2025. This is Ron Brown again. In this video, I'm going to continue my discussion on the volume spikes scans that I've put in the program, and I've been working on them this week, and I'll continue to refine them. But anyway, remember, the market is your teacher. We learn that every day, don't we? Standard risk disclaimer, just you can read it yourself if you want. Any stock index or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. If you want to try the software, just go to highgrowthstock.com. You can download it, try it free for 30 days. It's a little bit complicated to get going, but once you get it going, it is an extremely powerful program. In my setup here, I have, of course, the warehouse view. I have a chart view, and by the way, I've added some moving averages to a couple of charts, and you'll find these charts in my most used charts. And what I've done is I have this chart with the daily end-of-day statistics, and then I have an identical chart with intraday statistics. And you can see there's no intraday data now since it's Saturday. But on the end of day, there's a lot of information here. But primarily what I'm looking for are the volume numbers here. You can see on this scans, if you remember, I'm scanning for volume percentage compared to the 20-day moving average, the 50-day moving average, and the 90-day moving average. And if any of those criteria are met, if any of the volumes are 150% of normal, the stock is going to appear through this filter. And the filter I'm using right now is, let me get out of here. Well, it's under my working scans, and it's volume spikes 150%, and I'm currently on this scan right here. This is end of day data. Here is this, you can see it's 119 stocks. The intraday will be the same 119 stocks, but it'll be on Monday. This will be working on Monday, tracking to see what these stocks, which appeared on Friday, do on Monday. And then this one here is volume spike scan intraday. And what this is doing, it's going in and looking for these stocks that are appearing that day. You can see these are all intraday requirements right here. So moving back to this and the charts that I've added. This, of course, well, let's see if I can make this a little larger so we can see everything right here. This scan is looking for these stocks to meet one of those criteria, and here's 280.1% on this one right here. And this was Friday, and Thursday it surpassed the 90-day also, because if you look down here, you can see the yellow line. And by the way, it says right here, volume 1 to 20-day is green, the 50 is red, and the 90 is yellow, and these are all simple moving averages. So this appeared the day before in the scan, and you can see that it little pullback here, but it's still intact on Friday. So there are 119 securities that passed the test, and if I sort over here on the volume, this is compared to the 20-day. Here's one that was 1,863% above that, and 4,235% above the 50, and 74.72 above the 90-day moving average volume. It has an RS rank of 16. It crossed over 3 days ago. I know nothing about this stock, but we're going to take a look at it. So I don't have the crossovers on here. but you can see that the 0 is always the crossover day, so it crossed over back here on this one, and then a big volume spike on Thursday, and then Friday was a huge volume spike, and I read you the numbers. So I don't know what's going on with this stock, but electronic components, there must be news on it, so you can check Thinkorswim news source or whatever news sources you use, but something caused this to go on, so to go off. So just see what it does on Monday. Now here's the next one, a pharmacy stock. You can see the numbers here. I don't need to read them off. Huge numbers, and what I also like to look at is the closing range. Now this one closed, the first one I pointed out closed at the top of its range, but this one only closed at 18.52%, and this one at 8.98, which means that they sold well off of their highs. And you can see this was a gap opening, and then it continued to fall. It was up for the day. Looks like some buyers came in at the end of the day, but look down here where these pocket pivot volume numbers were coming in. I'm going to make this full screen. I'm going to zoom in on it. And you can see that on this spike right here, it was above the 20, the 50, and the 90-day average volumes. And if you look here, it was on this day. So money was flowing in. It was coming up in the scan because it surpassed all of those. And if I go back and get rid of that one and put a crosshair on, you can see clearly that it surpassed all of the simple moving averages on that day. And this is a pharma stock, so here is where the big volume started coming in compared to the prior day. Here it is right here, and look how this took off. So if anybody had the courage to buy this on at the open on the following day, I'll just put this here and go up to this point. And then if you look down here, over 2 periods, it's up 55.4%. Started at 290, ended at 450. So let's look a little further. Let's see what the next stock did. Okay. Now remember, this is the prior day before the gap up. This is what happens when you chase, when you're late to the party and you buy at the open. This thing shot all the way up to $9. So anybody who got in here that took advantage of this made a fortune. Let's bring that back up just for the heck of it. So the open there to the high yesterday was 209.8% in 1, 2, 3, 4 days. If anybody had sold at the top, and I'm sure there were several selling at the top. You just don't turn that stuff down, that easy money. Okay, get rid of this. Let's move on down a little bit. Let's find one that closed near the high of the day. Here's one. It's a fund, it looks like. Let's look here a little further. How about this one? Well, that's Invesco. This is also a money firm, but look at the volume numbers on here. And if I click through, you can see the volume numbers here correspond to the volume numbers here on the end of the day. And on the intraday chart, those numbers will build throughout the day. Anyway, where did this one? Well, this one really didn't. Well, on this day right here, you can see that it was above the 50, and well, it was above all three of them right here. So money was starting to come in on that day after a Sharp move down on heavy volume, but you can see buyers stepped in and volume was above average. I doubt if that would have registered or been picked up by the filter. Anyway, big move up here, so that's not a good example. I'm looking for stuff that was breaking earlier. But by going down these two columns, you can see how old these signals are. Here's one that crossed over 14 days ago, the 3 above the 6. 7.3% change yesterday, closed at 67.88% of its daily range. Little $1 stock, but the 3 crossed the 6, like I said, 14 days ago. And there have been multiple volume spikes with this stock. Now you can waste a lot of time looking at these small stocks, but really where this is something that I discovered. If you have a list of stocks or a user smart group that you really like, you can apply this scan to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here. I'm going to go into my user smart groups, and let's just go under my name here, and let's do end of day CanSlim all. You can see only 2 stocks appear out of these 119. And if I bring them up, you can see that, look at the volume coming in here. It was probably showing up back here, and then it hesitated for several days, took off, and now there's some selling there. But this is a stock with increasing revenue and increased earnings. That's why I say CanSlim type stocks. Let's look at TIGR. Now this is a little looser, kind of all over the place, but it met the volume requirement here on Friday. I don't really like the looks of that chart. But you can use any group. Let's go down the list. I'm just ad-libbing this. Let's look for primary trend up, fan up, and see how many come through. And you can see that a bunch of them. These are all stocks which are in strong charts. So let's just sort on raw combo. I don't know what that is. Let's look at this one. But you can see that this is a very strong chart, and look at the volume coming into it. Now I'm just starting to build a database of these scans. I don't have many yet, but as time goes along, we'll be able to see how often these stocks reappear under the volume scans. Let's take a look at IBKR. Wow, that's a big gap up here, but notice down here it was trading above the 50 and the 20-day volume numbers. Big spike back here, and I don't have data for this, but I'm sure that it would have appeared in the scan. The scan didn't exist back then. Okay, so these are all stocks that are in strong uptrends, or they wouldn't be in my primary trend fan up group, and there's 37 of them. Now, here is one, Joby, that has been coming up in these scans, and look at this move here above the moving averages back here, and look what's happened to it the last week. It's been appearing about every day. Now going back in time, you can see that the volume was well above the moving averages here as it started to move up, and then it settled down. Notice that it was trading above the 90-day moving average, but well below the 20 and the 50-day, and then here's a volume spike right here. It was above the 90 at least, well above it, on an effort to rise, and then it started moving up, gap up, a pullback, and then it really took off from $10 up to, looks like around $18 now. So you can find winners here. It's just a matter of time, and then when you combine it with other groups, let's do one more. Let's go to the perfect speculator within 5% of the 52-week high. These are all, look at these VPA volume numbers here, very high on these. I think I looked at that one over. Let's look at CBOE. You can see that it passed the 20 and the 50 on the 150%, but not on the 90. So looking down here, you can see that the spike was there. Oh, the spike was here, but those were down days. A little bit choppy. But I like to see something a little smoother with more consistency on the green bars. But anyway, it meets the criteria today. Now, before I end this video, I'm just trying to give you ideas and show you that these scans work on their own for all securities, or you can go into your own list of stocks, or you can use my groups, my user smart groups, or your own user smart groups. Now you see I have 1 week's worth of volume spikes, and I've kind of modified the filter a little bit over the week, so I think I have it where I want it now. These Z's are here because I added this to the bottom of my user smart groups, and I didn't know another way to do it. Anyway, let's try this. So, group inclusion report. I'm going to clear this. I'm going to go up to my user groups, and I'm going to go into my non-index groups, and I'm going to go into volume spikes, check children. I haven't done this. This will be a surprise to me too, so let's see if we have any multiple. Wow. I said there were 5 days or 6 days evidently. Yeah, there are 6. Sorry about that. Now, if I can find that warehouse again. And let me just run it again. So BTCS came up 6 times. The EVTL, Juniper, I thought that was a buyout, but maybe not. Look at all these that came up 5 and 6 times this week. Down into the 3s, 2s, and of course 1s. Just for the fun of it and for the learning. Let's go back here. Let's go up to the top. Let's bring a chart up. BTCS. This appeared all 6 days. At least on the 90 day. But look at this volume, how it's went from nothing. Here's where it first appeared right here. But I wasn't running the scan at that point. But it's appeared all 6 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Even though these were down closes. Now I believe I've modified the filter to look only for positive closes, but I'm still experimenting with that. I may go back to this. Let's look at EVTL. Wow. 6 days in a row. Yeah, Juniper's a buyout. UAVS. This too, there were 3 down days out of this, but volume was heavy. I don't know. I'll have to think about that, or maybe I'll put both of them in with scans with both a positive close only or positive or negative. Let's go down here. CLBR. Kind of choppy. MP, this is a good one. It appeared right here. Look at that volume. Of course, this gap up. And I want to go down to QS. This one has been, I was crazy not to jump on this. This is a solid state battery manufacturer, and they've just done a deal with an automotive company. I don't think it's in production yet, but it will be in the future. But it's just gotten totally out of hand. Look at this base on here. And then when the volume started coming in, and this was showing up in the scans every day that I was doing this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It appeared here, but it would have appeared here, here, here. Though all of those instances, it would have appeared with this scan. I saw it going. I thought, oh, that's kind of extended. And I'd been in this stock a long time ago. It didn't really do anything. So I didn't really know what the news was on it. And it would have been a massive winner. After looking at that group inclusion report, I'm going to change this filter back. I think I just changed it yesterday. So either up or down on the close, it shouldn't matter. I'm just mostly interested in the volume spikes. And let's see, it's 203 securities if I do it that way, and if it's long only, it's 119. So it makes a big difference, but what it allows is us to look at stocks that have big volume moves. They're down, but they may be down, just a little bit here. Some of them are down quite a bit, but just a little bit, and then they may turn around the next day. So I think I'm going to go back. I'm going to change this. I put the add-on up earlier today, but I'll put it up again with these new filters. I'm going to rebuild the user smart groups. Okay. And let's go down here to the volume spike, end of day. You can see there's 203 in there now. I need to go up here and delete the 18th. I may do both of these separate. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna, since all these other were up and down, I'm going to change that one. So either up or down close with a volume spike. Now I have to go in, export the filter, and I'll put this in the add-on and re-upload it. So when you install your next add-on, you're going to see these, and you can run the GIR yourself. But let's go back here. Volume spike, end of day. Go to all securities. There it is, 203. So I changed it. When I change the filter in the user smart group, it also changes it in the warehouse view. So anyway, I'm going to continue working with this. I think it's really a great way to find heavy demand on stocks, and a lot of times before the stocks ever start to move. Thanks for listening, and have a great weekend.